There was a little press conference in Cleveland today. Deshaun Watson met with the media, and of course, there's lots of people who have opinions about it all. Joining me now on the Nemacolin Hotline is our good friend Ray Fittipaldo of the Post-Gazette. Ray, it's going to be really difficult if you're Cleveland to figure out how you can best manage a press conference like the one you just had. But, I think they kind of got through it. I don't know. What was your impressions of it based on what you at least read about it or saw or whatever?
Yeah, Paul. I mean, I saw most of it. And, my biggest takeaway was the Haslam should have been there. And I know their excuse was they're at the owners' meetings. I can tell you Art Rooney doesn't have any media obligations at the owners' meetings until Sunday. I think the Haslams could have been in Cleveland today if they wanted to be, and I just think they chose not to be for obvious reasons. So, like you said, Watson got through it. The GM and the coach got through it too. But to me, if you're that ownership group, you got to be there for a press conference like that. I think shame on them for not being there.
Right. Exactly. It's feeling to me. I find it really difficult, in this situation because there's no real easy way to do it or sell it.
Well, you're right, Paul. I mean, this was going to be a monumental task for the Browns PR team. And I am quite sure that they prepared for days, leading up to today to try to coach Watson through it and their GM and their coach. And it's difficult. I thought the Cleveland reporters asked a lot of tough questions. And, good for them because I think throughout most of this process, we've kind of just been getting, stuff from Watson's lawyer. Obviously, this never went to trial. No one ever testified, so we really didn't get the side of the 22 women who were, alleging that behavior against Watson. So this was the first real opportunity for the media to ask questions, about it. And, obviously it's a difficult situation for Watson, but it was something that he had to go through. So, for them, I don't know if it's over. I'm sure they will be peppered with more questions as time goes on. But today certainly was their most difficult day. And, they'll try to move forward and, get past this, as quickly as they can.
Do you think that, Ray, it will be enough now to just basically say, oh, well, we've already addressed this. I mean, because these questions are going to come up again. These questions are going to come up, several times, and I'm sure every single time one of these things actually gets to court or whatever. I don't know. I just feel like they're going to have to figure out a strategy going forward. And I actually think that the right strategy might be just to say, well, you know what? We've already said this.
Well, Paul, it is going to die down eventually. I mean, the media is not going to harp on this forever, but, they are going to have to deal with it again. I don't know when Roger Goodell is going to come down with his suspension, but whenever that happens, Deshaun Watson is going to have to speak again on that subject. I mean, we saw that a decade ago or more here in Pittsburgh when Ben Roethlisberger went through that. It's over for a while until something comes up, and then, some of these same questions will surface again. But, listen, by the time Deshaun Watson plays a football game, whether it's the middle of September or the middle of October, I think for the most part, all of that stuff will be behind him if they handle this properly. The Browns will be able, to get on with their season, and he'll be able to get on with his career. But I don't think it's just going to go away overnight either. Today was the first step in that process, but he's going to have to answer a lot more, I think, here before this is over.
There's no question about it. That's exactly what it's going to come down to. Ray, we've seen the pictures and the videos of Mike Tomlin at all these pro days and everything else going on. Should we be reading anything into the fact that he's clearly watching lots of quarterbacks?
Yeah, Paul, I think it's notable. He's basically spent his entire week. What are we here? A little bit before a month before the draft, scouting all of these quarterbacks. So yeah, I definitely think quarterback is in play at 20. But listen, it has to be the right guy who falls to them, because I don't think they have the draft capital to necessarily move up this year to make a big move like that. So listen, if Malik Willis is their guy and he falls to 20, I think it's in play. I'm not saying they will take him. I think there are other possibilities out there for the Steelers, namely on defense. So it's just a matter of how the draft falls. And I think, Kevin Colbert, Mike Tomlin, their entire staff, they're just doing their homework, they're doing their due diligence in case that does happen. Because, Paul, this is not a typical quarterback draft. In most years, when you're picking 20, the top 3 quarterbacks are going to be off the board in the top 10. Well, this is a weaker class, so one of those guys might fall, and they just have to decide for themselves, if that happens at 20, where is that guy on their board? Is that a better option for them going forward than taking a defender or any other position on the football team?
I could see a scenario where if one of those guys falls to the second round, maybe one of these guys they like, maybe even like a Sam Howell, do you think that's a way they would go, or do you feel like they maybe are saying they either get one of their top 2 guys or they're not going to go that way anyway?
No, I think if somebody falls, like the guys for me, Corral, I don't think Corral would fall to 52. I don't even think Desmond Ridder would fall to 52. I think those 2 guys, if they don't go in the first round, I think somebody will snatch them up probably the first half of the second round. We still got 5 weeks to go before the draft. A lot's going to happen between now and then. You mentioned how he might be there in the second round. I don't know. For me, Paul, Sam Howell is just kind of a guy, and I don't know if I would use a second round pick on him in a year like this when you have so many other positions on your football team that have to be addressed.
Right. It's just, they've got a lot of different places to go. What do you think of the Ridder guy? It seemed like he's a guy that people seem to be getting excited about.
Yeah, listen, he's a very good athlete. He's a winner. Everything you hear about his meetings with these teams, he comes off really well. So he projects himself in a professional manner and, exhibits all those leadership qualities. One of the knocks on him is his accuracy. I'm sure the Steelers were watching him closely. I think they were there yesterday. He had his pro day yesterday. So, that's something to watch here. With Desmond Ridder is just, can he put the ball where it needs to be an effective NFL starter? So I think everything else is there. The leadership, the athleticism. I think he ran in the 4.4s or 4.5s at the combine. So he's really fast. He's a terrific athlete. It's just, some of the things is in-pocket passing, that sort of thing. Can he put the ball on the money where you can get run after the catch? I think those are some of the questions that he has to answer. But I think he's a pretty good prospect, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in like the first 40, say 45 picks.
Yeah, again, I think the thing about all these quarterbacks, Ray, is that its beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I guess one of them might turn out, maybe another one. It's a crapshoot. The Steelers did make a official today that they signed Ahkello Witherspoon. That obviously is a pretty big development for them, right?
Yeah, Witherspoon agreed to terms about a week ago or so, and for whatever reason, he didn't get the time to sign it until today. So, I still think corner, Paul, is kind of a a sneaky need for them in this draft. Witherspoon is now signed through 2023. Wallace is signed through 2023. But Cam Sutton is only signed through the coming season. So they could use another young guy in that room, somebody that they could sort of mold, into their next, starting corner. So they did well in free agency. I thought it was important to bring back a guy like Witherspoon. But I still think that's a group that's kind of in transition, and I think they need to get younger there. And I wouldn't be surprised if they took a corner in the first 3 rounds a month from now. I do think secondary is a need that they're going to address in the draft.
Yeah, that's really to me another area that we're not talking enough about. I'm assuming Joe Hayden is not coming back, correct?
It doesn't sound like it, no. And he hasn't gotten a lot of offers in free agency. I don't know if his price is too high, or if maybe people think he's done. I'm not sure what's going on, but I would have thought that some contender out there would have valued his leadership. I don't think his play tailed off all that much last season. Obviously, he's not the player at 33 that he was at 23 or 27, but I still thought he was a pretty good player last season. So, hey, maybe we're only in the end of the second week of free agency. Players are going to be signing for another week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the draft. So he still has a chance to hook on with another team. I just don't think it's going to be with the Steelers.